Hey everyone, and welcome back to another deep dive with the Moore's Global Finance Podcast team. I'm John, and as always, I'm joined by our expert, Tiffany. Today, we're going to be diving into something pretty interesting. It's called Kinesis Money. So if you're interested in how gold and silver can be used in the digital age, then you've come to the right place.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating concept. A lot of people are interested in precious metals like gold and silver, especially when the economy is uncertain. But carrying around a bunch of coins isn't really practical these days. That's where Kinesis Money comes in. They're trying to make these assets usable in a digital world.
Right, so it's taking something old and making it new again. But for those who may not be familiar with Kinesis Money, can you give us a quick rundown? What's the main idea behind it?
Well, basically, Kinesis Money allows you to convert your physical gold and silver into digital currencies. They have KAU for gold and KG for silver. It's like having a digital version of your precious metals stored safely in vaults, but you can trade them or spend them online. Each KAU is backed by 1 gram of gold, and each KG is backed by 1 ounce of silver. You still have the stability of owning those assets, but now you can use them digitally.
Okay, so it's kind of like a digital safe deposit box for your metals.
Yeah.
But why would someone choose this over physical gold or even regular cryptocurrencies? What are the advantages?
That's a good question. Kinesis is trying to combine the best of both worlds. They're aiming to attract those who want the stability of gold and silver, which are seen as a hedge against inflation. But they also want to offer the convenience and flexibility of digital currencies.
So they are targeting a wide range of investors, from those who might be skeptical of traditional crypto to those looking for a modern way to handle their precious metals. Before we get into the specifics of how it works, can you tell us a bit about the people behind Kinesis Money? What kind of experience do they have?
Well, the leadership team definitely has the experience and knowledge to make people feel confident in them. The CEO, Thomas Coughlin, has a background in investment management and gold trading, and the CFO, Michael Coughlin, has over 40 years of experience as a CPA. That's a pretty solid foundation in finance and operations.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a team that knows what they're doing. All right, let's get into how this all works. How do you go from having a physical gold bar to having digital KAU tokens?
It's all based on blockchain technology. You can think of it like a secure digital ledger where every transaction is recorded and can't be altered. That's what makes blockchain so powerful. So when you deposit your gold or silver with Kinesis, they create an equal amount of KAU or KA tokens on their blockchain platform. These tokens represent your ownership of the physical metal, which is stored securely in their vaults.
So it's like a digital certificate of ownership for your gold. And I could use these tokens just like any other cryptocurrency.
Yes, exactly. You can trade them, transfer them, or even spend them. Kinesis is actually working on a virtual card that would allow you to spend your KAU and KG anywhere that accepts MasterCard.
Wait a minute, you're saying I could buy groceries with gold? That's pretty amazing.
Eh.
Tell me more about this virtual card. When is it coming out and how does it work?
Well, it's still being developed, but it's generating a lot of excitement. The idea is to make spending your gold and silver as easy as using a debit card. You would link the card to your Kinesis account, and when you make a purchase, the equivalent amount of KAU or KU would be taken from your account. It's like having digital gold right in your pocket.
Wow, that sounds really futuristic. So we've got these digital currencies, KAU and KG, backed by physical gold and silver. We have this upcoming virtual card that could totally change how we use these assets. But it sounds like Kinesis Money is more than just that. They have this whole platform, right? Can you tell us about that?
You're absolutely right. They call it the Kinesis platform, and it's basically a central hub for managing your precious metals and digital assets. You can think of it like your online banking, but for gold and silver. You can see your balances, buy and sell KAU and KU, make transactions, and even earn rewards.
Rewards. Tell me more about those rewards.
They have a system called the Kinesis Yield System, and it allows you to earn passive income in gold and silver just for using the platform. Imagine earning gold simply by holding gold. There are a few ways to earn these yields, but one way is just by keeping KAU and KU in your account. They're basically encouraging people to hold these assets for the long term.
So I can earn gold just by holding on to it. That's a really interesting concept. But what about security? We're talking about real gold and silver here, so how do they keep it safe?
Security is a top priority for Kinesis Money. They store their physical gold and silver in independently audited and insured vaults located all over the world. These vaults are managed by their partner Allocated Bullion Exchange, or ABX. ABX is a well-established and respected precious metals specialist. On top of that, the blockchain technology itself adds another layer of security. Because the transactions are transparent and tamper-proof, it's incredibly difficult for anyone to hack the system or steal your assets.
So the gold and silver are in secure vaults, and the whole system is built on the security of blockchain technology. That sounds very reassuring. Now, before we move on to the pros and cons of Kinesis Money, I want to ask about this Kinesis Velocity Token, or KVT. What exactly is that?
The KVT is pretty interesting. It's a token that gives holders a share of the Kinesis transaction fees. Think of it as a way to invest in the growth of the Kinesis platform itself. As more people use the platform, the value of the KVT is expected to increase.
Oh, so it's like owning a small piece of the company. If Kinesis Money takes off, the KVT could become very valuable. But how is it different from KAU and KGA? Those are investments too, right?
That's a great question. KAU and KGA are directly backed by physical gold and silver, so their value is tied to the price of those metals. The KVT, on the other hand, is more about betting on the overall success of the platform. It's a way to benefit from the growth of the entire Kinesis ecosystem.
So you're saying KAU and KEA are more like stable, tangible assets, while the KVT is more of a growth opportunity.
hmm
It all depends on your individual goals and how much risk you're willing to take on. I think now it's a good time to talk about the main advantages of Kinesis Money. What are some potential benefits for someone considering this platform?
Well, I think the biggest pluses are the stability and security that we've been discussing. Having digital assets that are backed by physical gold and silver can be very appealing in a world where markets are so unpredictable and currencies fluctuate. It's like having a secure haven for your wealth.
Especially for people who are a bit wary of traditional cryptocurrencies, which can be very volatile. This offers a more grounded and tangible option.
Exactly. And in addition to that, the platform is very user-friendly for managing your assets, trading precious metals, and earning those yields through the Kinesis yield system. The convenience factor is a big advantage.
And we can't forget about that virtual card. Being able to spend gold and silver like it's a regular debit card could be a game changer. So we've got stability, security, a user-friendly platform, and the possibility of earning rewards. It's a pretty strong case. But what about the other side of the coin? What are some potential drawbacks or things people should be aware of before using Kinesis Money?
Well, like with any investment or financial platform, you always have to consider the potential downsides. One concern that's been raised is about the Kinesis virtual card. It's still being developed, and there have been reports of delays and some technical issues.
Yeah. I guess that's to be expected with new technology. But I bet those delays are frustrating for anyone excited about the idea of spending gold at their local coffee shop.
Oh, definitely. Kinesis is working on fixing those problems, but it's something to be aware of. Another thing to keep in mind is that the value of your KAU and KT is still tied to the market price of gold and silver. So while those metals are generally considered stable, their prices can fluctuate, which means your investment could go up or down.
Yeah, so it's not a guaranteed return, but it does offer that stability that we've been talking about, which is hard to find with other digital assets.
What about feedback from users in general? What are people saying about their experience with Kinesis Money?
Overall, the reviews seem pretty positive. People generally like how easy the platform is to use the security features and the potential for earning passive income through those yields. But there have been some concerns, especially around their customer support and how they handle feedback. Some users have said that Kinesis seems to be quicker to respond to positive comments and questions, but they sometimes ignore or dismiss negative feedback.
Hmm. Yeah, that doesn't sound great. Being open and honest in communication, especially when it comes to people's finances, is really important for building trust. Absolutely. Transparency and responsiveness are key in finance, where trust is so important. Let's step back for a moment and look at the bigger picture. How does Kinesis Money fit into the current financial landscape? There's so much happening in fintech right now, with cryptocurrencies changing the game. Where does Kinesis position itself in all of this?
That's a great question. It seems like they're aiming for a unique position by trying to appeal to both traditional investors who like the stability of precious metals and those who are excited by the potential of digital currencies and blockchain.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to bridge the gap between the old and the new. And by backing their digital currencies with physical gold and silver, they're addressing one of the biggest worries people have about cryptocurrencies: volatility.
Exactly. A lot of people are hesitant to invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum because the prices are so up and down. Kinesis provides a more stable alternative that's backed by assets that have held value for centuries.
Precisely. That stability could be a big draw for people who are looking for a safe haven for their money, especially considering the economic uncertainty we've seen in recent years. Gold and silver have always been seen as a hedge against inflation and market turmoil.
It's like that old saying, when in doubt, buy gold. Seems like Kinesis is updating that idea for the digital age.
Absolutely. And their vision is quite ambitious. They're not just going after individual investors, they also want to attract businesses and even governments. Their ultimate goal is to create a global monetary system based on gold and silver.
Wow, a gold-backed global monetary system. That's quite a bold vision. What would that even look like?
That's hard to say for sure, but the idea is to build a system that's decentralized and not controlled by central banks or governments. And blockchain technology, with its transparency and immutability, would be the foundation for this system.
So like a parallel financial system existing alongside traditional finance. It's a very interesting idea, but there would definitely be a lot of challenges. Okay, let's talk about historical performance. How has Kinesis Money done since it was launched?
Well, it's important to remember that Kinesis is still a fairly new company. They started in 2018, so there's not a ton of historical data to look at. But even in that short time, they've seen pretty significant growth in terms of how many people are using the platform and the value of their KAU and KAGE tokens.
Can you be more specific about that growth?
The total value of KAU in circulation has been steadily increasing, which indicates growing trust in the platform and in the idea of gold-backed digital currencies.
And what about how the price of KAU and KGA has performed? Have they followed the same patterns as physical gold and silver?
For the most part, yes. The prices of KAU and KG have generally followed the same trends as the prices of gold and silver, which makes sense since they're directly backed by those metals.
So if someone is optimistic about the future of gold and silver, investing in KAU and KGA through Kinesis could be a way to benefit from that while also enjoying the convenience and features of their platform.
Okay, let's address the big question that I'm sure everyone is thinking. Is Kinesis Money a good investment? Should people put their money into this? That's the million-dollar question. And as with any investment, there's no simple answer. It really comes down to your own financial goals, how much risk you're comfortable with, and how long you plan to invest your money.
Yeah, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. It's about doing your research and figuring out if this fits with your own personal financial strategy.
Exactly. It's important to understand how Kinesis Money works and what the risks are. We've talked about some of the potential downsides, but it's really important to do your own research. Read reviews and understand both the good and the bad before you make any decisions.
Right, don't just jump in because of hype or promises of getting rich quick.
Yeah,
Do your homework.
exactly. And think about your investment time frame. Are you looking to make a quick profit, or are you thinking about the long term? If you're trying to get rich quickly, Kinesis Money is probably not the right choice. The value of KAU and KG is tied to gold and silver, which are generally more stable and less volatile than something like Bitcoin. But they can still fluctuate.
So it's more of a long-term investment strategy, like investing in physical gold or silver. You're betting on the long-term value of those assets.
That's right. If you believe in the long-term value of precious metals and you think that Kinesis Money's idea of a decentralized monetary system has potential, then it might be a good option for you. But remember, no investment is without risk.
What are some specific risks associated with Kinesis Money? Things that potential investors should be aware of?
Well, there's always the risk of hacking or security breaches, although Kinesis seems to have strong security measures in place. Regulatory uncertainty is another factor. Governments around the world are still trying to figure out how to regulate cryptocurrencies and digital assets, and that could definitely affect Kinesis Money in the future. And then there's the risk that the platform might not gain widespread adoption. If they don't get enough users, their long-term success could be in question.
So there's a lot to think about. Potential rewards, but also potential risks. Weigh those carefully before making any decisions. Okay, let's get practical for a moment. Let's say someone listening to this is interested in Kinesis Money and wants to learn more. How do they get started?
The first thing to do is create an account on the Kinesis Money platform. It's a pretty simple process, similar to signing up for any online service. You provide some basic information and go through a verification process to comply with Know Your Customer regulations. All about security and making sure everything is above board.
So they're taking those things seriously.
Definitely. Once your account is verified, you can start exploring the platform. If you want to invest in KAU or KAG, there are a couple of ways to do that. You can buy them directly on the Kinesis exchange using fiat currency like US dollars or euros, or you can use other cryptocurrencies to buy them.
So there are a few different ways to get those digital gold and silver tokens.
Right. And if you already own physical gold or silver, You can have it minted into KAU or KG tokens through the minting process we talked about earlier. You basically deposit your physical metal with Kinesis, and they give you the equivalent in digital tokens. Then you can use those tokens on their platform.
So whether you're new to precious metals or you already have some gold bars tucked away somewhere, you can still get involved with Kinesis Money.
Exactly. And once you have those KAU or KGG tokens, you have a few options. You can hold on to them as a long-term investment, hoping they'll increase in value. You can trade them on the Kinesis exchange, trying to make a profit from the changes in the prices of gold and silver. Or you can use them to make purchases or send payments to other Kinesis users.
And eventually, when that virtual card comes out,
Mhm.
you'll be able to spend those tokens anywhere that takes MasterCard. Imagine walking into a store, buying a cup of coffee, and paying with gold. It's almost like going back in time, but with a modern twist.
It's pretty cool. And it could really change how we use gold and silver in our everyday lives.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of information. We've looked at the details of Kinesis Money, its features, its potential advantages, and the risks to be aware of. We talked about how it fits into the wider financial world, and we even discussed how to get started on the platform.
We've given our listeners a really good overview of what Kinesis Money is all about.
Exactly. But before we finish up, I want to touch on one more thing. This idea of a decentralized, gold-backed monetary system is a pretty radical idea.
Yeah.
What are the bigger implications of what Kinesis is trying to do? What could this mean for the future of finance?
Yeah, it really is a big question. Kinesis money is part of this trend we're seeing where people are looking for alternatives to traditional financial systems. People want more control over their own money, they want more transparency, and they want more stability. We've seen this with the rise of cryptocurrencies. And Kinesis is kind of taking it to the next level by connecting digital currencies to real-world assets like precious metals.
So it's about decentralization, giving people more power over their finances. But it's also about creating a system that's tied to something real, something that has actual value.
Exactly. And if Kinesis can really pull this off, if they can connect the old with the new, precious metals and blockchain technology, they could really change the entire financial landscape.
It's definitely a bold idea. But let's be real for a second. There are some big hurdles to overcome. Regulation is a major one. Governments are still trying to figure out how to deal with cryptocurrencies. And a gold-backed digital currency system might raise even more concerns.
You're absolutely right. Regulations will be a huge factor in whether Kinesis is successful. They'll need to work closely with regulators to make sure they're following the rules and build trust. And then there's the whole issue of getting people to use it. For this to work, they need people to adopt it, businesses to accept it, and even governments to recognize it. That's a big challenge.
It's a massive undertaking. It's not just about building a platform. It's about changing how people think and challenging systems that have been in place for a long time. But I guess disruption doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
It takes time, persistence, and maybe a little bit of luck.
Exactly. And that's where our listeners come in. The success of a platform like this really depends on individuals getting involved. It's about raising awareness, educating people, and ultimately people choosing to use a system that they believe in and that aligns with their own goals.
So if you're interested in what you've heard today, do your own research. Check out the Kinesis Money website, read about how it all works, and decide for yourself if it's something you want to get involved with. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your finances.
Absolutely. Don't just take our word for it. Talk to other people who are using Kinesis, read independent reviews, form your own opinion. This is about taking control of your own financial future, and that begins with being informed.
We've given you a lot to think about today. But before we go, we want to leave you with one final question. Could Kinesis Money be a glimpse into what finance will look like in the future? A future where traditional assets and the latest technology work together to create a financial system that's more stable, more fair, and more accessible for everyone. It's something to think about.
As always, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring.
That's right. From the Morse Global Finance Podcast team, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.